Wait, shut up.
Meet the Suckers. Meet the Suckers. A soccer podcast that probably won't last. Meet the Suckers. Meet the Suckers. Skylar and Jeff don't know how to rhyme. Meet the Suckers and chat shit today.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy. Long time.
How are you? Yeah, what age are you now?
Still too old.
Oh, you're not reverse Benjamin. Wait, are you reverse Benjamin buttoning or are you Benjamin buttoning?
Yeah, I am reverse Benjamin buttoning. I am aging, and it sucks.
I feel like this podcast ages us as well. Wouldn't you say?
It ages you. No.
All right, more accurate statement. I'm gonna mute real quick while I open up my Monster Rehab tea and lemonade.
Monster Rehab. Oh man. Oh, okay. You can actually. In the meantime,
Free product placement.
Wow, Monster. If you see a big bump, you know who sent them.
Look at the calories and the vitamins.
I don't trust those vitamins on the nutrition facts. Do you?
You don't trust those vitamins? Like, hey, I'm vitamin C. I'm your buddy.
yeah. Vitamin C you later. No, I don't trust them as far as I can. Because I feel like there's a lot of things that they're not allowed to write on there when there are vitamins, and then sometimes I feel like there's stuff that's actually kind of unhealthy for you, like children's cereal. But they jump through all the hoops so they can list the vitamins, and then you feel like the healthiest boy ever when you eat them. But you're just having Lucky Charms,
You're like 11 million% of my daily ration of marshmallows? Okay, I'm covering my marshmallow intake.
But if it's riboflavin in these marshmallows.
So vitamin B12, 480%. So in my brain, does that mean that that's 480% of what you should have?
Yeah, at what point is it too much? Also, there's probably is the serving size 1 can, or is that 8 servings according to them?
Serving size 1 can, 25 calories.
Wow. I'm shocked by that because usually the serving size, they expect everything that you get to be shared like a bottle of wine among old Italian friends. And it's I don't know who does that.
1/10 a cupcake is not doable for me.
Yeah. I'll have a quarter of a ho-ho, please. And then can I just throw the rest of the ho-ho away here?
How do you feel at an office where somebody cuts a third of a donut with a knife?
I don't have to go to the office for that. At my house, we have that, and I am very much against it. I think people need to make choices.
Yeah, you have a donut or you don't have a donut. It's literally a 0 or a 1, right? It's binary. The 0 looks like a donut.
If it's a filled donut, then it's binary. Absolutely. If it's a ring donut, I'll give you splitting. You can split a donut.
But then someone comes to the box and they're like, oh, half a donut. I don't want that. Someone probably touched it a little less than gently.
Oh. See, that someone would be you. I'd be like, oh, good, half a donut. Don't even have to count this.
You'd be like, half a donut? I can have sex with that.
Good time.
All right. Probably not a great joke to make. So
I can't wait for this segue.
there's no good segue, but it feels like it's our journalistic responsibility to share a factual update to the Mason Greenwood case / saga. You probably, if you're one of our dozens of devoted listeners, you probably remember us doing a podcast about Mason Greenwood, but also the larger event in the news. Mason Greenwood, United's striker,
would you say?
Wonder Kid, striker of the future, had very damning visual and audio evidence released that suggests strongly that he domestically abused and sexually assaulted his ex-girlfriend. This morning, moments before the podcast was to record, breaking news, he has been acquitted of all charges, which, or is there a difference between acquitted of all charges and all, oh no, sorry, all charges have been dropped.
Right.
There's been no case yet. Or sorry, there's been no court proceeding. It sounds like it was withdrawn from the lawyers of the alleged victim, and what neither of us is a lawyer. I mean, unless Jeff, you've got a secret double career.
I mean,
what do you make of it?
Like, I don't. This is especially, even if this was happening in America, I would be woefully unprepared to discuss it intelligently. But in the UK, where they still wear wigs on top of their robes, literally, and they just have a slightly different system to ours. I don't know if I know all the specifics that would make me be able to intelligently comment. I can't even say the word. Comment is the word, not compliment. I'm not giving.
I compliment you,
but I do. Here's the thing. This is so late breaking that I actually haven't fully been able to read up on it even. But let me take a guess as to what happened, and you tell me if I got it right.
Is that a responsible way to handle this?
No, because here's my guess is what I'm trying to make a broader point here that like I don't think that there's been some crazy like Agatha Christie level twist and he has exonerated himself and we all owe him an apology. I think what has happened here is probably there's a lot of evidence that for sort of procedural reasons is not going to be able to be put in. He probably has a very expensive team of lawyers. And then the combination of those things and just generally the way that rape is treated in our society and judicial system has led to him being let off the hook for something that I think every single person who saw the stuff that was released online realized like, oh God, this guy's like beating up and raping his girlfriend. Like that's real fucked up. So I think, I don't know. Is that what happened? Am I correct?
So again, because it's breaking, you're getting tweets and you're getting articles that are being immediately pulled down because of UK libel laws. And
interesting. Wow.
The fact that in the UK you're more protected as an accused person than in the United States, maybe that's why we've handled this probably so awkwardly when it came out, is because in the United States, like you can basically say anything about anyone, unless they're wealthy. But in this case with Mason Greenwood, I think it comes down to, is there evidence? Yes. Is it evidence that will irrefutably prove rape in court? It's one of the hard. We talked about this the first time initially. It's one of the hardest things to prove, and as a result, so many rapists get away with it. Like that's mathematically inarguable. So many rapists get away with it. And in this case, we have no idea what's going on. If Mason Greenwood has amazing lawyers and he was able to argue something like, oh, well, my side of the story is that she had a consensual non-consent kink fetish, and this is a role play that we would do all the time. And the bruises that wasn't her. Like, you never know which way that, like, what to us seems like clear evidence to a jury or to a judge might have holes in it, or there might be ways you could argue that he didn't do whatever it is that we think he did. But what it comes down to it, from a public relations capacity, I still don't think, even with this development, I still don't think he has a future at Manchester United or in the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's sort of dovetails to what I was saying, where it's like, if he like actually had sort of cleared his name, that would be something different. But to me, this ends up very much in the category of the Mendy thing, unless I'm missing something, which I very well could be. This news is late breaking. By tomorrow, we'll know more. But unless I'm missing something, it's like, it's the same as the sort of Mendy thing, where it's like, okay, you've managed to stay innocent and not be proven guilty on a technical level, but we know who you are now, and I think it's actually a really fascinating one, because he's still what? He's 20?
21?
Yeah.
Well, so he's been out of football for a year and a half now.
Yeah.
Maybe a little longer than a year and a half.
which is not nothing. I mean, like, there's a good chance that, like, I think there are a lot of clubs that on some purely football level would be really interested in him, but on another level, like that, even that interest might be misguided. Even if you're willing to put aside the personal and moral and ethical problems of it, like
So he
he's
could go
been
to
out of football
Italy.
for a year and a half. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure if you can. Like, there's a lot of guys that don't recover from that. You know?
Uh, it's interesting to consider, but in a way, I kind of just like bringing him up again makes me sick. Like even if having him around was the difference for us this season, I would rather lose the
Yeah.
league. Like I'd rather lose everything than approve of that, than co-sign what we've already seen and heard. Like it's not worth it. It's not worth it
Mhm.
to embrace a team if they stand for pure capitalism, pure selfishness, but like and employ. I mean, even the Ronaldo stuff, Jeff. We've covered it up, down, left, right, in the least professional ways possible. But like, even though Ronaldo either did a better job of burying it, or it was longer ago, or we weren't paying attention. Whatever the reason, it still felt queasy,
Yeah.
right? Like, I mean, I feel like
Sure.
I've expressed to you trepidation over Ronaldo. Greenwood is open and shut case in my mind, like a court of public opinion. Uh, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about this other than like I'm upset for the victim.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine that someone would make all that shit up and or be able to make all that shit up, and that makes my heart go out to her. And like you got to
Yeah.
expose yourself to really go after someone for something like that. So she loses no matter what.
Sure. I mean, I'm glad that you brought that up because I think that would be an easy. There's so many sort of bigger picture things to think about, and like sort of ways that this shines a light on problems in like the greater culture, that it might be easy to lose sight of the fact that there's an actual human being on the other side of this that is very let down, I'm sure. And so that is very sad. And yeah, it's worth thinking about. It's worth spending a moment on. But at the same time, I mean, it just begs so many other bigger questions. You know, the one that like comes to my mind right away is like, if this isn't enough to prove a rape, then what
You'd have to
exactly is?
you would have
You
to
know what I
rape
mean?
someone in a courtroom. Like you'd have to be like Exhibit
Yeah,
A, and that's honestly depressing on behalf of women everywhere. I mean, and I'm going to say this. I feel like there are also men who have been victims of
sure,
sexual assault that look at this and feel the same thing on
sure.
behalf of the victim. Like it's it's just a fucking shame, and it reminds us of the fact that football and the culture around it and the people involved in it, it's just not as pristine as maybe we wanted to believe when we were younger, or have wanted to believe this whole time, that like football is the world's game. It heals civil war conflicts, it brings people together, but also like it's power and it's money, and it's
Yeah.
mostly men wielding power and money, often against others. Like, remember the stuff that we brought up about the French journalist that outed so many of the African football federations for sexual abuse of
Oh
minors?
yeah.
Like,
And that's a story that's pretty much just gone away.
yeah, and in a way that's unsurprising to me, but like in a very pessimistic way about society. I don't know. I don't know. Do you have any? You have any last words you want to say about this before we move on? Because it's not something that we can really belabor. There's nothing I can think of to.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's there's not much of a take to have on it except like rape is bad.
Rape is bad, and it clearly feels like there's not a legal solution. It's got to be an like we really, if
Yeah.
we were doing a better job by our children, we would be educating them about not sex but consent. You don't need to talk about sex to understand consent and bodily autonomy and keeping your fucking hands to yourself.
Yeah.
And it's not something we teach. If anything, we teach young kids that like by ignoring it, that like playground bullying is okay, that like, oh, it's boys being boys, all that shit that's sort of baked into like our society
Yeah.
is how we get to 20-year-old or 19-year-olds raping their girlfriends. It's because for 19 years there's been really no education for that person to show them what a bad decision what a horrible act it is to do something like that to someone. So like,
yeah,
the only solution is to have a better education system that is co-signed by our species.
yeah. I don't know how to. Even that, like, it feels like there has been so much more done on that, and I don't know.
It still keeps
I don't want to be
happening.
too pessimistic and like not. I don't know. Not see like where things have improved over the years, because I'm sure that they have, but it is. I don't know.
Believing victims has improved, but
Yeah.
that belief only like it stops right outside the courthouse, because clearly like us all believing her doesn't matter if she doesn't have like DNA evidence that's like annotated with a time and date. It seems like tough shit. And then even then, it's a he said, she said, well, he raped me. Well, that's not how I remember it. And suddenly I don't know. I'm actually kind of depressed. Like this news coming out really threw me for a loop, because I know we have other stuff to talk about that's supposed to be fun stuff, and it's
Right.
Do we want to try? And maybe the segue is, if there is one, let's talk about something else that is football related. I don't know. Not graceful today.
I'm
And
glad that I've left all of these segues for you today.
I'm wearing a blazer, and I feel like the least professional version of myself. All right, well, I guess we're just gonna talk about soccer now. But still honestly,
no,
like,
I think
a
it's
little
good that we started
devastated.
with the sort of most important human aspect of this, and then the rest of it is just
It
people
doesn't matter,
picking
right?
things.
It really
The
doesn't
rest of it
matter.
does not matter in the same way, which is good for you.
I know what you're gonna say. It's still
Since
feels
you
shitty.
lost. No.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so let's talk about Jeff, like other Europeans, takes 7 vacations a year. I say this with my 1 vacation every 3 years policy, which I spent on Jeff, and during which I recorded a podcast episode. So, Jeff, where'd you go? Give us the 1 paragraph version of your vacation.
I went to Bad Gastein. It's delightful. It's supposedly one of the towns that Wes Anderson based Grand Budapest Hotel on.
Why do I feel like you've been there before?
I have. This is my 3rd time going there. I love it. And it's a great ski destination. So shout out to Bad Gastein, the entire
Shout out to cocaine.
They are all friends of the pod. But yeah, no, it's great. It's otherworldly. Like, it's built into this gorge. You walk around, and like there's just giant old hotel facades everywhere, and the skiing is really great. They have the longest intermediate run in all of Europe. Ski 28 miles in 1 day there. What else did I do while I was?
When you walked around, did you hear like the Grand Budapest yodeling, like la 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 la?
I would have if you had mentioned that to me beforehand. I did constantly, like, it's so beautiful. It literally almost hurts there. It's so nice.
Wow.
We went to there's a fondue restaurant that's 400 years old there, and you have to take a small single-seater chairlift to it and then sled home because it's on the side of the mountain.
Oh, but I would be so bloated, I'd be like unable to sled.
You sled so fast when you have like a belly full of leaden cheese, like like it's amazing.
That is funny. Wait, is that what you had? You had a belly full of molten cheese? That was.
Well, I guess by that point it probably wasn't molten anymore. It probably hardened back up, which is kind of disgusting to think about.
That is disgusting, but I'll let it go. I'll let it slide. All right, so that's the reason that you haven't been able to podcast about
the derby, about the 3-2 Arsenal win, about the. I mean, I don't know how much to make of it, because it's one of those things where there's still so many games left. But I do think this one, it's like you guys can no longer win the title, but we can lose it, and I think we're getting close to that. Like, if we were able to beat Everton and City in the next couple weeks, then it becomes similar with them, where it's like, okay, they really can't just do it now. We would have to have a historic collapse. You know what I mean? Because suddenly we're just up on teams that much. But yeah, I thought it was a great game. I don't know. I mean,
To the neutral.
yeah. I thought it was like it's one of those away games where you guys sort of played the like because it's how am I going to say this without sounding like a total bitch?
You laid on the pressure the whole time.
Yeah, it was like even in terms of like if you look at the XG, the score line is very different than the sort of XG line because you guys sort of pulled 2 goals out of a hat. You know what I mean? Like it didn't really look like, oh, it's end to end. It's more like somehow, I mean, I'm trying to remember, man, it's been so long now. The order of the goals that were scored, was there a point where you guys were in front, correct?
I don't remember either. This is why we normally do the podcast week after the game, Jeff.
Okay, so yeah, you guys scored in the 17th minute. We scored in the 24th. Then we scored in the 53rd. You scored in the 59th. Okay, so I guess you were in front at the very beginning. But no, I kind of thought that it was 2-1 you guys, but it was 2-1 us. But I mean, there were a lot of. I mean, this is the kind of game that I think Arsenal of many, many years in the last 10 to 15 to 20 years would have maybe been beaten or gotten a draw, and somehow we pulled it out this year. And it just seems to be, I don't know if it's something about this team, if it's just 20 years of bad luck means you start to, it starts to swing back the other way. We were due for it, but it's like, this is the exact kind of game where like we'd play really well the whole game and then leave with 1 point instead of 3. And this time we left with 3. I don't know. What was your take on it?
You ready for a dissenting opinion, Jeffrey?
Ooh, wow. Okay.
Putting on chapstick for the listener who doesn't not paying extra for the free Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we have to consider that the match that we beat you and the match that you beat us, it was the home team winning each time. So that all is already sort of explaining a little bit of differential there. 2,
I think it does more than explained a little bit. I think that's like the story of this now is like these are both 2 good teams somehow. Neither of us really thought that was going to happen 6 months ago. And I don't know, like it's going to be hard for us to win at Old Trafford. It's going to be hard for you to win at the Emirates.
2, if I remember correctly, we had a midweek match and you did not.
That is true. You had Crystal Palace and you had Casemiro sent off there, so he couldn't join. So you were playing a weekend version.
Just a yellow. He got a yellow, but it was a suspension yellow.
Sorry. Exactly.
And he is our best player this season, and he might be, I would say, in for a shout for player of the season from how he has transformed us from a shit team to a competent team.
And another mirror reflection of the first one where we had Party out. And it's a similar one where it's like we are just a way worse team without him, and
right,
he's your party.
I mean, I would say that's fair. I would maybe say he's more important for us because without him we are so much worse. And you're right in that. I think that's reflected in the XG from that match. Like you guys played way better than us. You played, I would say, better than 3-2 scoreline for sure. I think Casemiro is there. I think you score at least 1 less goal. Like he's got to be, and then who knows? Like, does that mean we win or does that mean we nick a point? I can't speculate on that, but I can say that we are always going to be a worse team without him, especially away at the league leaders. So, when Eric Ten Hag started Casemiro, I kind of get that this is his thing. He wants to win every match. Like every match for him is the most important match. I would have rested him. I mean, we ended up not winning against Palace anyway.
That's the real dagger of that. I mean, you should have at least sort of collected the easier points to grab with him in the lineup, but to get none of the points and to have to lose him is pretty rough.
But all this comes back to that random-ass month the Premier League made us take off because of the stupid Queen dying.
It's amazing how much that still is the story of the season.
Fucked us. It has fucked us so hard. We have to play every 3 days until May. And we have, I don't know, 14 good players. Yes, and that is as much the fault of our ownership for not sort of equipping this team properly. In the same season, that Chelsea. All right, thanks. I forgot to click the. Is it just in
You're
Greenwood
welcome.
this whole time on the banner?
No, it didn't say anything. We didn't have. I'm
Good,
actually, you know what? We
he
didn't
doesn't
need a
deserve a
ticker for that.
banner. He
Yeah,
doesn't deserve a banner. But like Chelsea has spent 666 million pounds in this season.
yeah.
So like if we had reinforced half as much as that, this team would not fall apart when one player is unavailable or when players are gassed as hell.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of
I
excuses.
mean, you do
Jeff.
have this might be a good little we could jump around a little bit here, but that could be a good segue into some transfer talk because you guys did have 2 transfers in to beef up your 14 good players. Are you saying 14 good or do you not?
Well, did you want to do that now, or did you want to just cover the other fix? Because we've had 2 weeks off, so there's other fixtures in there.
True. We could cover the other ones. We haven't really had a lot going on. We've had this one weird game, basically, that was last Friday against Man City, which sounds like a giant game, but it was FA Cup. We went in with a relatively rested, or a relatively rotated squad. A little bit stronger than like the cup games in the Carabao Cup, but they apparently, and I have to sort of buy Man City supporters on this, but according to a lot of Man City fans, they were going in with their strongest team, and it was at the Etihad, and they managed to pull out a win, but it was a close game, and we had some chances in there. So there's a lot of copium here from me, but like I kind of feel like I wasn't sure that we should be trying to go deep in the FA Cup anyway, because similar to you, we have a game to make up. We have Europa League coming, although not quite as much Europa League as you guys have. You have that extra round to deal with against freaking Barcelona. Although that should free up some of your when that
after
goes
we lose that,
but yeah, in the long run, I'm not too worried about it, and it wasn't a game where like if they imagine how weird it would be if they had ripped us open 6-0. You know what I mean? And
it
then we'd
suck.
be like, oh God, like we're gonna lose the title. Like this, we've been getting our hopes up for nothing.
I do think you are smoking some strong Arsenal hash there. Like, we wanted to lose this one, guys. It's all about the 4D chess from Arteta.
It's funny because I don't think he wanted to lose, but it's funny also because I really didn't expect him to play, Vieira, Lokonga. Like I expected him to play our best team and to come out and say like, when I lose a duel, I get upset, and, to just be very competitive and to like, cause I think it's a weird psychological move as a coach of like, oh, like, this is the team that the whole season has been nothing but talk about us facing them. And the first time we play them, we're going to like put in some of our not great players. It's a weird idea.
I would think that if you were going to punt on that particular cup, it wouldn't be the week you play your strongest title challenge rivals. Like you psychologically losing to them, I don't know. That's got to have some impact, positive for them, negative for you. I can't imagine losing to them as a boost.
I mean, if you want to smell some more copium coming from my direction,
I'll call it out as that.
I'll light up the old copia bong. But this is after the game. There was a scuffle between Zinchenko, who obviously was on their team not that long ago, and Kyle Walker and a few other players. And
because
I think
Kyle Walker's a dick.
Yeah. But I wonder, like, it reminds me a little bit of, like when Fergie started the tradition that has like really taken hold now of the Guards of Honor. And I think that was even that was an Arsenal thing, right? Where he made United give a Guard of Honor to Arsenal because they'd already won the league when we played. And
Is this the same team that threw pizza at him?
Right. Well, and like the reason he did it, because I believe you guys went on to win that game. And the reason he did it is because he just knew it would piss off that team to have to like do that. And I think,
was it like Keane? Was it like that era? I
believe it was.
Yeah, that would piss him off.
Yeah. Yeah. Literally everything pisses that guy off. That would piss him off a lot. But I kind of wonder if this will have that effect a little bit of like they felt like they were being held back a little bit and they weren't able to go out and prove themselves and they got a little bit embarrassed and they had like this weird little scuffle at the end. So it's like there's a little part of me that thinks that, not that they were ever going to be struggling to get up for that game, but like they are going to be razor sharp now. And that other game is in 2 weeks, or not even. It's the 15th. So about 2 weeks.
So did Holland start?
He was playing, yeah.
Did he start or was he subbed on? You responded. You responded politically.
I responded because I wasn't sure. I actually the first half of that game I couldn't watch. He was playing as much of it as I saw, and I think that he did start.
Well, I mean, at the very least, it's got to be comforting to know that your defense can stop him from scoring, because for a minute it looked like nobody could stop him from scoring.
So let's see. He was in the lineup right away. And actually, this does so. Apparently, part of what I missed, and I saw this in like the highlights and then the discussion around it from other Arsenal fans, but one of the big names that we left out was Saliba. We started Rob Holding, and Rob Holding got a yellow defending against Haaland, and like he was struggling a bit, but they didn't
Did
quite
he get
score.
subbed off?
And then so at halftime he got taken off
because he would have been a red card if he had,
I think either there was a goal or a red card coming there, basically. And so I think that was probably a wise decision, but yeah, unfortunately, that's just the way that went.
And so in the time that you played one match after the derby, my team played 3 because that's the way it fucking goes.
Yeah. And bought yourself the chance to play another.
Yeah, we just love playing. But all right, so in the English League Cup and the FA Cup, we beat Nottingham Forest 5-0 aggregate home and away, a 3-0 win in the beginning and then a 2-0 win yesterday. And in between those matches in the FA Cup, we beat Reading 3-1, coached by former Manchester United and Liverpool sensation Paul Ince. So that was kind of interesting because each one of those matches, I'm like, surely Ten Hag will put like the kids in and give the old timers a break. But no, Erik Ten Hag is a Terminator 2 cyborg that has been sent to win every match. Even if he walks into like liquid magma, he will keep reaching for the other team, even if it sort of ruins the rest of our season. And for example, in the Reading match, I don't know if you follow Reading, their striker is 34-year-old fuckface Andy Carroll.
Is he really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
So Andy Carroll, former Liverpool player, giant goon with a man bun. At one point, or no, he had, I think, 3 different red card worthy tackles that game. He finally got sent off for multiple yellows, but the first one, which he didn't even get a yellow for, he 2-foot scissor kick, like he goes in for a leg breaker on Christian Eriksen of all people, the guy who died a year and a half ago on the pitch at the Euros, and he basically looked like he was offended anyone even suggested he should get a card for that. If you look, like, Christian Eriksen has like ruptured his Achilles from that, and he's done till May. So this was a team that had no depth in midfield, and Christian Eriksen was our Michael Carrick. He was the one, pinging passes around, transforming the way we play offensively, the way that Casemiro has transformed how we play defensively. And when I saw that he was going to be out, my heart sank, and I'm like, cool. So 7th place now. But since I just wanted to fly through those other matches, we can switch to transfer deadline day. I know your team did some deals, but to pivot into that, because of Andy Carroll hurting my poor, dear, sweet Denmark captain,
you think he's done for the year?
He's done until the run-in, which if he can come back, maybe it's good that he'll be coming back as like a boost from the bench.
Yeah.
But what happened was so Ronaldo left. You figure, they'll buy some big-time replacement striker for Ronaldo. No, We got Wout Weghorst, which I think had happened. Had that happened by our last podcast?
I believe it had.
So you've heard all about him already. But then we not only needed a Kirkland brand striker, we needed a Kirkland brand midfielder.
Ooh, diss.
I mean, sorry, that's not fair.
To Sabitzer?
Yeah, I forgot his name for a second. Marcel, is it Sabitzer?
Sabitzer, yeah.
He's an Austrian 28-year-old midfielder, played for Red Bull Leipzig, is now struggling to break into Bayern's very deep midfield, just like Ryan Gravenberch. God damn, every British guy is with a podcast says it differently. But so, yeah, we needed a midfielder to replace Eriksen running around. It hopefully won't be Fred for very long, as we know sort of how good he can be.
Sure.
But yeah, we got two lone players, mighty Manchester United.
Weghorst was a loan too, really?
We have $78. I don't know if you remember the Olsen twins doing the brother for sale music video in the 90s, where they were both trying to sell their brother for coin, not even paper currency, but for coin currency. We have like the Olsen twins purse after a good day of brother for sale. We have that much money in our bank.
Wow. Man, that's a memory that I didn't know that I had, but yes, I do have that. I would have never
sing it. Should we sing it?
I don't have it that much, to be honest. And even if I did, I wouldn't.
Take us through the days of our lives plotline that was the last 2 weeks of Arsenal transfer window.
I mean, this is going to be boring because I'm just gonna be full cope again. But this is interesting because I think there's parallel universes here. I actually feel like both United and Arsenal did the exact thing that we always complain that they don't do this window, which is like
smart.
Yeah, of like, okay, fine, you swing and miss at Mikhail Mudryk. You know what I mean? Or you have these big transfer targets and like sometimes these deals don't get done. It's a sample size of one. Like sometimes the guy just goes crazy or the agent is a dick or whatever, and it can't happen. And then we always say, well, why didn't they have a backup plan? Like they've been knowing for 2 years that we need another defensive midfielder, another left wing or whatever it is. And it's like, in this case, I feel like both of them actually kind of did it. I think Sabitzer's a really good pickup for you guys. Not because I know his game that well. I've seen him a bit.
Compared to nothing.
Right. And the thing that I love about him for you guys is because, like you said, like it's not like there's only one hole that you're ever going to have to plug. You know what I mean? There's going to be another game that Casemiro can't play. There's going to be another game that Fernandez can't play. And it's like he can pretty much play any midfield position and maybe like striker a bit, like second striker kind of thing. So it's like, I don't know. I think that's very useful. And
he's a runner and a dribbler. He might be a slightly better Fred.
I mean, and I think that's very useful for you guys. So I think that was smart. And even, I don't know, I think that Weghorst is also like smart-ish. Like I think if I were a United fan, I'd probably be a little underwhelmed, especially that they're both loans, and especially that like, if these were 22-year-old buys and they sort of were bringing the same attributes with them, you might have a bit more optimism for them. But I mean, not a bad window.
They're both known entities, pretty much.
Yeah.
But Weghorst last season in the Premier League, admittedly for a shitty, no chance generating Burnley, was 2 goals in a season. Jesus Christ, sorry.
We both had alarms that went off at the same time.
My alarm says make up an excuse, get out of talking to Jeff.
Yeah, same actually, but yeah.
No, it's you, and it's your multiple personality disorder. You're like, stop talking to Jeff.
Yeah, I got to make up an excuse, but he'll never believe me.
You're right. I'm just bummed out about the state of things because if we weren't run by the Glazers, if we hadn't given $1 billion away in interest payments and dividend withdrawals, and we hadn't sat on our asses and to buy Anthony. And instead got him early, like we would have so much more money for purchases. We'd have so much money for purchases. This club was a financial juggernaut, and they've run it into the ground. They're like the Elon Musk of club owners.
Ground.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just a bummer that we're essentially settling for normally what like poor bottom of the table or bottom of the league clubs do, and we're in a position where we could still easily, if not challenge for the title, like firm up a top 3 or 4 position and guarantee the Champions League money to be coming in, guarantee that you have a really good, strong position to appeal to top players over the summer window. Like if you have Champions League or not Champions League is the difference between getting Frankie de Jong or not, honestly. And it kills me that like because the Glazers are in the process of hopefully selling the club, they're like, fuck these fans. Like we're not going to help them on our way out. Like that's exactly what it is, because wouldn't you want the club to be in the best position possible for your negotiating to be strongest? Like if you own the club that's in second place and looks like it's challenging, then you get to ask for another $500 million more in total value. But if you're in a club that's in free fall and the guy that comes in, or the guys, sorry, that's sexist, but like so is soccer
probably
ownership.
Accurate, yeah.
But like if you have such a huge project and they've got to clear $600 million in debt and they've got to put $1 billion into the stadium and $1 billion into the team, and then they got to pay you $5 billion, like I don't know. It just starts to seem like a mansion that has cracks in the fault line, like cracks in the what's it called? The base of the home. I don't know. I've never built a home.
Have you seen? I came across randomly there's like a really nice infographic about United's finances.
I'm surprised you didn't text that to me.
I think I probably will now, but maybe I was trying to save it for the day. But I mean, there's a lot of interesting sort of things on it. But one that I think is very interesting is, so they're $116 million loss, so 17% loss right now, which I think is actually not, like, that sounds bad, but I think actually a lot of clubs are in that same boat, like post-COVID.
Because
like,
of COVID?
just went through it. Like I think Arsenal is
actually
not too far away from that.
Is it because they didn't make any money? Like they had a loss during COVID, so then the new season comes in and they had to buy on a credit card essentially because there wasn't the liquid cash from the previous season.
I mean, it's an interesting thing to look at because so much of the expenses are either player amortization, where you're paying for players that you've already let go, or even like there's a former staff column here that's 25 million. So 3% of the total Manchester United budget is going to paying people not to work there.
Probably like Mourinho. We're probably still paying Mourinho.
That's what I was going to guess.
Him and Ole signed long deals before we had to let them go.
I was going to say, so that's probably like 10 each. And then, I don't know, there's another manager in there probably making something.
But
like even that 25 million, like that's like a Leonardo Trossard, or you know what I mean? Like somebody
no.
Hey, don't want him. You wouldn't take him?
No, because everything I heard about him before you guys got him was what a dick. And we just got rid of Ronaldo. Like you don't want to be like, well, you leave from one abusive person to another. Like, I don't know. I like Ten Hag has had this new policy of no assholes in the transfers in. I think that's a good policy because you see how bad this team can be when the dressing room is messed up.
Yeah.
And you see how good they can be when everyone's like buying in and everyone's like into it. And I would say, I'd hate to say the same thing for you guys, but the same thing for you guys.
It's somewhat true. But I also think like every football player is such an asshole that it's hard to like by normal human standards, almost every single one of these guys is incomparably assholic. So like
assholic?
Yeah.
That sounds like they're addicted to asshole.
Could be. I'm not gonna rule that out.
Just a little bit of asshole. Just something to get me through. Been 1 year since my last asshole, so I got this little asshole shaped coin.
Yeah, I lick it. Anyway,
this tastes like coins too.
Yes. But all right, so sort of that, talking of assholes and Leandro Trossard, like I don't know if he is an asshole because he seems to be getting along well here. I mean, it's still the honeymoon phase. I
Do you want me to bring up the tweet from his last home at Brighton?
Yes.
Leandro. All right, keep vamping, but I'll
Because
get it for you.
Like, there was apparently a big fight with who's like the team captain of Brighton.
It was the dude who used to play for Liverpool that everybody likes, not Jay Rodriguez, but another guy like that.
Yeah. And basically, it's like it became a him or me thing, and he wasn't the guy there. But
Adam Lallana.
Yes, la.
So apparently, Adam Lallana's Leandro Trossard dig seen in new light as details of Brighton Row emerge.
Right. They were rowing, as they say in the Banshees of Inisherin.
Oh, wait, so it's row, not row?
Well, have you seen that movie? They say rowing in that, but I would have said rowing because that's how it's spelled.
English, right? Like, English is so ridiculous.
I wonder if the English, because that, to be fair, Banshees of Inisherin, Ed Sheeran. The Banshees of Ed Sheeran takes place in Ireland, not England. So maybe they say it different there.
This is so funny, man. You only need to look at the last 3 games without him, Trossard. I think it's been 5-1, 4-1, and 3-0, Lallana told Sky Sports. So as I said to you earlier, players can leave Brighton, but we've got enough without them. We had enough without Basuma, Cucurella, Ben White, Dan Byrne, Neil Maupay. So if Leo moves on, we'll cope. We're coping already. That's funny. It sounds like
he's not wrong. Like they've become the new Southampton, where they're just generating a lot of great players. They're generating big fees for those players,
But it's not even just that they can cope without him. It has been reported that the bust-up stemmed from the fact that Lallana wasn't pleased with the level of unprofessionalism Trossard displayed after his clash with boss De Zerbi, who apparently seems like he could maybe be manager of the season.
Yeah.
Which kills me because one of our clubs probably should be manager of the season.
Yeah, I mean, because that's the thing. If they sneak into Europe, although I don't know.
They lost their manager mid-season to Chelsea. Yeah. They've lost 5-star players, and they're challenging for Europe. That's kind of nuts.
It's pretty amazing. But if they get into the Champions League, but Arsenal win the Premier League, who do you think gets manager of the year?
All right, fuck, marry, kill. Mikel Arteta. Wait, what's his first name? I don't want to say it wrong. De Zerbi. It's not.
Zerbi's the last name. I don't know that.
I know, but I want to say Rodrigo De Zerbi. It's Roberto De Zerbi.
Close.
He doesn't De Zerbi this. I'm gonna keep using that as his name pun. Yeah, but so that was. Did you have another question? Did I interrupt you?
No. You refused to answer my question, but anyway, I'm quite happy with Trossard. Like, he is it's interesting because I've harped on this idea a lot that, like, we are basically now Moneyball teams, but we're like rich Moneyball teams.
You forgot your old central midfielder.
No, yeah, we have 2 other guys to get to, but they're also.
Yes, I'm in first place, and we bought all these players, and they're all perfect, and all of their flaws are not visible to me.
We bought 2 old players. We bought Trossard and Jorginho.
Is Trossard old?
He's like 28.
So he is a now player, whereas go ahead, keep going.
And Jorginho is older than that, I think. Jorginho might be 31.
Jorginho is a then player.
Hey, I mean, I think that he is I think that they're both actually like pretty good signings, and I think that this might be something that we see
as
a lot more
players,
of. It might be like,
right?
Well, because it used to be if you wanted, and to a certain extent it still is, if you want to be a Moneyball team like Brighton or like, the one that I always harp on, Dortmund, like you have to sign a bunch of 17-year-olds and turn them into 19-year-old wonder kids and then sell them. But I think everyone else is trying to do that. And now the price of a 19-year-old striker from Ukraine is $100 million because of Chelsea. So maybe the move now is to buy, sort of now-ish players that are at a good value, when maybe they're maybe their captain is talking shit about them in the paper.
If your manager can wrangle all of that, some managers can, and some managers get eaten alive by personalities that get a little out of control.
Yeah.
Think of it as like an advertising thing. Like you've got some creatives that are really good, but they're assholes. Wouldn't you rather have untalented creatives, Jeff, that are really super nice?
Not really, actually. But yeah, I think like Trossard has already played well for us, like really well, and he's very talented. And I think, like he's there to be a little bit of a fire under Martinelli and Saka, and I think he can play in a lot of positions, and that's very nice. It'll be interesting to see soon because there'll be Smith Rowe is just about recovered, and then Gabriel Jesus posted a picture with football boots on today, like out training. So he's ahead of schedule. And so there's a point soon in the near future where we could have 5 like legitimate starting Premier League forwards that are fighting out for 3 spots. So
you don't think that'll be tough to, like, if they're all actually that good, who's going to be happy sitting?
I mean, the tough thing is, would you be happy if any of them were happy? It's like, I think there's going to definitely be, I think Smith Rowe has to play his way back into shape, and so does Jesus. And then I think also Trossard probably came to this club with some knowledge of like, okay, like best guy gets to play, and you realize you're not the incumbent here. You know what I mean? Like everyone else is playing really well. We're on top of the league, but I don't know. I think that's heartening to know. With the Jorginho signing, I think.
Wait, did you, as your 5 forwards, did you even mention what's going on with Folarin Balogun?
No, I didn't. But I was planning to bring it up later because...
Of course you were.
Next
it's like
year,
Arsenal's winning the French league as well.
I mean, he's going to come back after right now he's leading the French league in scoring. He's above Messi, Neymar, Mbappe, any other French person, because that's how leading the league works. And I don't know. I don't know what to make of him. Because the thing that when I was watching his highlights over the years, I don't watch the French league, but over the year I've been watching his highlights and I'm thinking he's just having one of those great runs of form where the ball keeps falling to him and he keeps kicking it in the net. And we need to sell him for as much as we can get him this summer. And he's not an Arsenal player. But then today I looked at his XG, and he's actually only slightly, like I think he's got 14 goals and his XG is like 13.5. So he's just having a great year. And that's pretty cool.
I wonder if him right now, like he needed this season of first team football, but I wonder if right now he's actually on the level of Nketiah. Like I would say,
arguably better.
I mean, you don't know until he plays against Premier League defenders.
Sure.
But I would argue there's a good chance because I mean Nketiah is like the same age. They've had like roughly the same amount of first team football in their careers at this point.
Yeah.
I'm interested only until he decides he will not represent the United States. Then he can fuck right off is what he can do. But please don't fuck right off if you want to play for us. If you want to be our he could be starting striker for the United States right now.
Yeah. I mean, that's got to be
Would you rather wait to lick Harry Kane's balls, or would you rather just be guaranteed international football in every important match?
Yeah, that one. The other, I think he's a 3-way eligible guy though too, because he could also play for Nigeria, which is like.
But Nigeria, here's the thing. But Nigeria doesn't really do anything. There's not. I would say arguably not as much money for the Nigeria national team. So if you want money, exposure, like those, it's the money you get from like all those brand deals that like Christian Pulisic gets. Like that triples your salary. Like that's good money if you're the star of a national team that has a lot of media behind it. But like, isn't it crazy though that at like age 20, you probably have to do the calculus for matches I'll get, how far in major tournaments will I be able to go? Like you're having to figure that out instead of just being an emotional national.
But I wonder. Decision. I mean, like during the Klinsmann era, there would have been approaches made for sure, and so if he hadn't done anything, it might be a sign of no interest. Whereas, like, I kind of wonder now.
Greg was really good at recruitment. Like that's actually one of the things he's been really good at. He is gone. There is not only no head coach. There is no senior staff, and there's no director of football above the head coach. So right now,
but there's some scandals. Yeah.
But yeah, there were scandals, and now there's
Yeah.
nobody. If someone's making overtures to him right now, it can't be the United States because they're not even going to have that person in place until the summer.
Hi, I'm intern, blah blah. Yeah. No, that is a good point though. I didn't think about that, but like we're just in a bad state to recruit him when we should be in, hopefully. But it would put us in a weird position where I really wonder like what connection level does he feel to America? Because
he was born in was he born in Brooklyn?
But like and he lived there like through some of his childhood, is that right?
Until he was like 5 maybe?
Because I wonder what kind of like on some level, if it feels random to him that he could play for us, and there must be some level where he's like, but like if I'm just choosing a team,
No, but check this out. So born in Brooklyn, 2018, he gets called up to the England U17 team. Then he also has 4 appearances for the United States U18 team. So he's already represented the United States as a youngster.
Interesting.
Then he jumps back to the England U20 and U21 teams, and I have no idea if that's just because those aren't cap tie. I guess youth teams aren't cap tying.
Yeah, because I know you're only allowed to switch once you're like at the senior level.
But I don't think he filed paperwork. I think it was just like youth team is almost the same as a friendly.
Interesting.
Like it would be senior national team, or it has something to do with the age that you are. Like after 21,
senior national team thing. But I think even if you were to play in a friendly, like these official sort of international friendlies, like not like a behind closed door scrimmage or something, I think that would very much like tie you to that club.
I thought it had to be like qualifiers or like a Gold Cup or one of those tertiary tournaments because I thought it was just if it was an official
cap.
Well, we're not know everything about the Soccers. We're just meeting
the Soccers,
them.
Not deeply research the Soccers. Just glaze over it. No.
All right, so I have an amateur football update if you would humor me.
Sure.
So Jeff, at our last podcast, did I mention my new Sunday pub league team?
Yeah, you talked about it for quite some time.
Oh well, I have way more to say. So we hung out. The team hung out before for preseason drinks. It was all of the things I've always dreamed about having in my life. I almost cried. It was so beautiful. Mm-hmm. Having a team that likes each other, that wants to hang out. Then we played our first match, which we won against a team where I knew a bunch of the other players, so it was extra sweet. I had multiple assists from right back. Yeah, I'm pretty great. But then we played again, and I think we won like 6-1 or something like that. So we're 2-0. Nostalgia FC, pretty amazing. Another shout out to Scottish Neil.
Or is that also the name?
It's because Neil et al. Would always want to go to this bar that's really close to the pitch called Nostalgia Bar. And it's like our unofficial, it's like we show up after the game and everyone there knows that we're Nostalgia FC and we get like VIP treatment. It's kind of really nice. It's the closest I'll get to being sponsored or having a contract.
Is it a sort of like goofy enough local place that they would put your dumb trophy up if you got one?
Probably, yeah.
That's awesome. I've always wanted to have a dumb trophy up in a dumb bar.
Oh, it's so dumb great. And then so this Sunday we have our second night game where it's like, because it's 6:30, but it's winter, it's dark out at 6:30, so we're under the lights and we're playing against the only other 2-0 team. Ooh. So
league leaders.
And one of our best players has already said no to the WhatsApp "Are you coming to the game?" poll that I created.
Jesus Christ.
Renee, I know you're not listening, but come on. This is put up or shut up time, Renee. We need you. We need you to dribble through the entire other team and score.
Oh, come on, Renee.
Also want to give a shout out to
were any of your assists to Renee where you just sort of like dinked a back pass to him, and then he dribbled through 5 people and scored?
Oh no, I wouldn't count that. I'm not an
No?
asshole. No, but in that first match, Christian, Hala Christian, I basically like kicked like a long pass, kicked it. I kicked it. I passed a long ball, like one of those long, like Scholesian Hollywood passes that just cleared the back line of defense, and he basically like brought it down and fired it in.
Like the Bergkamp thing of like kicking your leg out, and oh wow.
It was really it was emotional for me because I was like, take that, high school coach who thought I wasn't good enough.
I was gonna say, did you guys like? Are you guys playing in like the D League and you're just all ringers then?
No, I would say it's like it's a co-ed Sunday league, so it's not like physically as intense as some of the leagues that I've played in and hated. It's like the exact right pace, and because it's 8v8 instead of 7v7, we're playing on much wider, longer pitches, which is great for someone who just wants a little time and space on the ball. I can pick out a pass. I can actually beat someone on the dribble if I have just an extra half second.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. How are your co-educational players, the female players on the team? I feel like that is like secretly the key to winning these leagues.
So we just there was just someone who missed the first match but showed up for the second match. Lauren, she played like the Casemiro role for our team.
Really?
She took the ball off of like bigger, burlier Portland looking dudes like pretty frequently, and then would just distribute. And that's awesome. Like there are others too. I'm still like, it's only my second match. I don't want to on the spot call out like 4 people and miss 1 or 2, but like everyone's pretty good. Like I would say I'm middle of the pack, which is a great feeling because there are players that are much better than me, but then there are a couple players that where I'm like, let me show you something. Let me show you how daddy hits the ball. And that was a genderless daddy. I'm saying that to male players as well.
Vacation daddy.
But wait, does everyone here know Vacation Dad?
I think that it's come up here. I know that it has like really caught on among my improv friends because I took another improv class last week. And that's so great. Now even the improv teachers know about it. And
all right, guys, I started a British meme as a visitor. That's power. That's raw power.
These Americans don't know Vacation Daddy means.
Well, you've made it flirtier. I called you Vacation Dad. Let's be clear.
You know, I thought you'd made it Vacation Daddy.
No,
Vacation Dad.
When I was visiting,
maybe I did make that flirty.
When I was visiting Jeff in London, we went out with all his fun improv friends, which I know that was a mention on this podcast. Yes. I was talking about how Jeff so wonderfully planned all the things that we both wanted to do and made it the easiest vacation that I've ever got on. And so I would just call him Vacation Dad because he's a dad. I don't know if you guys know. He's a dad, and I was on vacation, and he was dadding my vacation. You see the calculus for this, right?
It totally makes sense.
But I guess they're all calling him Vacation Daddy because they all want to sleep with him. Sorry, Rachel. I'm not saying he'll act on it, but it's a fact. Everybody wants your husband.
That's not true.
Most people want your husband.
Very important segment out of the way. Are you ready to play?
Oh wait, by the way, Jeff, half of my team now listens to the podcast, and Neil was like, "Your mate called me stingy."
Wait, what did I call him stingy about?
You said you know what they say about Scottish people? They're tight in the wallet. And,
oh yeah. Well, I was just bringing up a stereotype.
Did I even make like a William Wallet joke? As many
drinks as you'd like to at Nostalgia Bar. Prove me wrong.
Do you know what? William Wallet only really cares about freedom because it's free.
He just said free stuff.
Free stuff.
They may take our lives, but they'll never take our
free stuff. They'll never take my discount goods.
William Wallet. That's good. Did you even say that joke last time?
I didn't. But good. William Wallet would be a great Scottish wallet company, wouldn't it?
That'd be fantastic.
All right, go ahead, Jeff. You want to do your blah 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 sound?
Meow, meow, meow. Game time.
Wait, do we remember what the score is? And how unfair the scoring system was the first time we did a game?
I think that you're gonna like beat the crap out of this game, so you only get 7 questions. I believe 7 is the record. But don't we
but
usually ask
you
7
definitely
questions?
got. I think you got 10 chances to score points in your game.
Yeah. I also you're better at this stuff than I am, so there's that.
That's not fair. I'm bad at everything.
All right. So the game is gonna be this. The game is called Who Spent More? Sound effect, sound effect, sound effect.
Ding, ding, ding.
So I'm gonna give you 2 teams, and you tell me who has spent more net spend 2022-2023 season.
This past 7 months.
Summer, yeah. So summer, and then this winter window.
Okay.
Who has spent more?
Okay.
Is
this wait? So then I have to factor in sales as well.
So it's because it's net spend.
Net spend. Okay.
If you're clearing out players, then that will put you in a completely different light.
But like I know City got 100 million just from you alone. So like I already know City has a low net spend compared to Chelsea, who is just disgusting.
I'm not here to give out hints, Skylar. I'm here to read the damn questions. All right. So, first question on theme for the podcast: Arsenal or United? Who spent more?
Is there music while I think? Do I have X number of seconds? I'm gonna say. Oh, I feel like it's close. I actually feel like it's close because I feel like we spent more in the summer, but you spent more in the winter.
It is close. I'll give you that.
I will say United spent more is what I
Correct. That is correct, Skylar.
But it's because we spent stupidly and you've spent more efficiently.
That is also correct. That is also correct.
Lick your
you
butt.
do not get a bonus point for that because this is a hard quiz. God damn it!
All right.
So, you ready for the next question?
Yes.
I don't know why I said Ronaldo's thing. City or Spurs?
Fuck. Because I feel like Conte complained about not getting many players, but I know City offset their spend with sales. I honestly can't think of who Spurs bought. So I'm going to say City.
That's incorrect. Unfortunately, it was
Spurs spent more. What can you give me the numbers on that?
Spurs net spend is 145
Who did they buy?
million pounds.
Who did they buy at all?
I mean, they've had. Let's see, who did they buy?
It feels like they just buy like tons of like 79 rated midfielders from other shitty teams.
I mean, Richarlison, was that a buy or was that a free?
I thought that was last season.
Wasn't that over the summer?
I don't know.
Richarlison was there. No. Richarlison was definitely at Everton so that was a $58 million fee. Okay. Romero, was that this year?
No, Romero was not this year.
Okay.
Romero was last year. But if you have net numbers, then I just believe you.
I do. I only have the net numbers. I can't show my work to get partial credit here. But they also spent on this Porro guy who's supposed to be like an amazing right back, but hopefully he's not.
Well, clearly they're not Porro because they spent 150 million.
I thought about that joke and I was like, nah, I'm gonna leave it.
Save it for me. Save it for me.
I was like, because Skylar's gonna do it anyway. So
I'm the catfish of comedy.
So you got 1 point. 2 points so far. No.
Do I have 1 point?
You have 1 point so far. All right. Next one. Newcastle or Liverpool?
Liverpool spent 100 million on Darwin Nunez, and that's it. Or did they get a central midfielder just now? I feel like they should have, but did they? And Newcastle, in the summer, I feel like they bought I'm going to say Newcastle spent more.
Correct, Amundo.
Yes,
I
suck
really-
at Liverpool and Newcastle.
I really should have done more. Like I was like, oh, I got the figures right here. This will be easy, but it would be cooler if I could go in and give you some of the highlights right now. But that would take way too much research time. And
I'm really entertained by the yes or no response.
Google it amongst yourselves. I'll give you a topic. Next, Leeds or Palace.
All right, so
I just heard you typing in.
No,
you're
that's
breaking
my
all the quiz night rules now.
That's my fingers against my desk. As I
see.
nervously wonder because I gotta think it through. Say it again. Palace or who? Leeds.
Leeds or Palace.
So Leeds just got Weston McKennie for like 30-something million. Oh wait, but does it count if it's a loan with an obligation to buy or? You don't know. You have no fucking idea.
Yeah. I didn't show my work. I found a graph.
You've shirked all responsibility as game host. All right, so
Yes.
Fuck. So I'm gonna say Leeds.
Correct.
All right, 3 for 4 is so far that I'm not looking
That's
horrible.
not bad, my friend. And okay, next one. 2 teams that I feel have been punching above their weight. One significantly above their weight.
Nostalgia FC.
Yeah. Transfer of negative $100 Skylar Hunt. Villa or Brighton? Who had the biggest net spend?
Your audio skipped for me. I heard Brighton, and that's all I heard.
Sorry, Villa or Brighton?
So Brighton, I feel like, has mostly sold over the last year. Villa, I'm going to say Villa spent more because Brighton has sold for so much profit.
You are absolutely correct. It is Villa, and I put that in there mostly because of all the teams in the league, in terms of net spend, the 2 at the bottom, I can say this now because we've already gotten through their questions. Brighton has a negative $105 million net spend, and they just ripped up a £70 million check from Arsenal and said, go fuck yourself. City have a $62 million net spend, and they just bought the best young striker in the world, so they can go fuck themselves.
Halo spender. Bow, 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 bow. And then,
right.
wait, but it wasn't City you were talking about, it was Villa.
True. But Villa just had like a normalish amount. They have like a 36 million net spend.
They have blown a lot of money, like when Slippery Stevie G was their manager. I got transfers like.
I just find it interesting because, I mean, you always talk about whether a club is ambitious based on how much money they spend. But right now, number 2 and is it 4 in the league table, 2 and 5 are the people who are, selling significantly more than they're buying.
Well, the thing about City is they are only really able to do that by virtue of the success that they've had in recent years. Like, they're so good that their second string can be sold for big money because those players are still highly desirable and still performing very well. They're just starting 25 matches instead of 40, and 2 of those players are players that you bought and have been contributing to your season.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an interesting one. I think if you were to look at this over a net spend over, say, 5 years, then I think that Brighton and City would be in very different buckets in that case because City definitely has spent a lot overall. But it's weird that they haven't spent much this year. And
for example, I would say Ten Hag needs to spend more now than if he does his job right and we do our jobs right as a club. 4 or 5 years from now, you shouldn't need to buy 4 or 5 first-team players every year. You should be buying young enough that they've got a good run in the team ahead of them. And then you're just tweaking and one player wants to go, you replace him. That's a healthy transfer market policy versus oh, fuck, we only have 1 tire on our car.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Any more?
2 questions left.
Right.
We'll do it quick. Everton or Leicester?
Shit. Leicester has not spent really any money. I think they may have just bought 1 player recently. Yeah. Everton, I feel like, has been doing their best to compete with us for dumbest transfer policy over the last few years. So I'm going to say Everton, bigger spenders, also bigger panicky spenders.
So you're correct in the sense that Everton's net spend is higher, but they are both negative, which is insane.
Who did they sell? Oh, because they just sold what's his face, that Anthony Gordon douche nozzle that nobody likes because he looks like he looks like the guy from Karate Kid who picks on Danielson.
I mean, he does look like that guy, and he does look like a massive douche. But Everton just can't buy players. They've been trying to buy players the entire window. They may very well get relegated, but they just cannot get players in. So
because they're such a shit. They've been such a shit show of a club, and it's honestly not because the owner Moshiri. I want to call him Farquad Moshiri, but I know that's just the bad guy from Shrek, and I'm combining.
True.
He's 2'9", but like they've spent so much, but it's been like, what was it? Marcel Brands, wasn't he the one that like just bought all these terrible players for them, and then he got let go of like during this season, I think even.
I believe you're correct.
Do I get a bonus point for knowing Everton's former director of football?
No, you get a negative point because I said lightning round because I desperately need to pee. We have one more question, and we're going right into it.
To be fair, I'm 5 for 6 so far.
Yeah, you have only missed one, and that's quite good. Weirdly, the one that you missed, I feel like was kind of an easy one that you sounded out later for yourself. But
your mouth.
This one, I'm almost positive you're going to get because you brought up the number. But who spent more? This is not a net spend question, just a spend question. Who spent more, Chelsea or the entire German Bundesliga?
Chelsea, because I heard that stat on a different podcast this morning.
I was going to say, he's seen that one. We hang out in the same parts of the internet, but it is interesting.
I thought they also said Chelsea this year has spent more than, was it like last year's entire Premier League? It was like some insane stat that I thought couldn't even be true. But like, how is Chelsea permitted to spend $660 million? Like, financial fair play. That's not fair. They're not making that money from a combination of revenue generated by winning.
Stadium.
Yeah, they're not. They're definitely not. They had their club sold this year.
Finish. Yeah.
Does that just mean if you get bought by a sugar daddy, they'll be like, well, one time we'll let them break all the rules?
Well, a lot of it is this. I mean, and I saw this with the Mudrick deal. Is like they'll space everything out for 8 years, and so it's amortized, and so the hit on their FFP this year is not very much. But over the course of that contract, it will happen. They're actually thinking about a rule that would make it so the maximum contract is 5 years to avoid that.
But how about the fact that Chelsea also owed Abramovich like $1 billion loan, and in losing the club, he wrote off that debt. Like, that's not fucking fair.
Yeah, no, it's a really good point. Yeah, in a weird way, like as much as they were the one that were like sanctioned, it was actually, they've probably benefited in the long run. It's $1 billion.
They totally benefited. And also, I know we didn't really talk about this. Like, in addition to like the money that's been spent on Madrid, the money that they just spent on the last day, they paid Enzo Fernandez's $120 million fee for a midfielder that has had less than a season in Benfica's first team. He has a good World Cup.
That is the biggest like crazy World Cup purchase in my opinion, because that's a guy people didn't even know about a year ago.
If he's 120 million, what is Bellingham worth? 150? 200?
I don't know. We'll see what Chelsea pays.
a billion ham?
$1 billion. All right. That was funny. Play the theme song. I gotta pee. Bye.
All right. Goodbye.
Need the suckers. Need the suckers.